warning, just to let you guys know, I apologize if this video is weirdly spliced. Sometimes my computer likes to likes to crash a lot of the times, so just fair warning before the video starts. But I hope you guys do enjoy this song today. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chaos Commentary, and today we're doing another Sunday. And this song we're looking at today is No Way Out by Joshua Shaw, used in The President's Return to Blood of the Dead. And this is the Pierce cut. This is the one that he just recently did, almost a month or two ago. But he mentioned at the end that the song he actually did was himself, and he did not actually use any other songs for the ending because he wrote it on his own. Which, first off, props to you, Joshua Shaw. That's awesome that you have some original music for the video. Definitely going to leave your links and your socials down in the description. Definitely go check him out. He's a really great YouTuber. But with this song, what we're going to do is we're going to break it down, dissect it, see the positive. Know who I am. My name is Xander. I am a recent graduate from Redacted University with a degree in theater and music business as the concentration, but my main degree is in music industry. So we're going to take it from that perspective. If you guys enjoy this kind of stuff, make sure you leave a like, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications so you don't miss an upload, and let's just jump right into it. First things first, I love the melancholy vibe. I love the minor chords that are being represented here, especially within its key. I think it's really well done. It's setting up a nice kind of tone, especially when going in and seeing No Way Out with Joe Biden right here. Kind of looking like Richtofen from the trailer of Blood of the Dead, the No Way Out, along with the other premise characters. It's setting up a nice comparison. It's also very nice and easy, so it doesn't sound too harsh on the ears, especially with the legato kind of strings that are being pulled through. It's not feeling like it's dragging. It feels like it's moving at a really good pace, which is what you want from this kind of style of song. I will say, like, it is a little soft, but that's okay. It doesn't that just because a sound is soft doesn't mean that it's impactful. And I think with soft sounds like that, they can be impactful. And I think they can be really done really well. So I point to you. Moving on. So I appreciate the lyrics here, especially when you break them down slowly. It's kind of representative of what a prison is, where it's like it holds in lights where things that are filled with light do not want to go. It's bound by chains, especially the shackles of the prisoners. But this, I feel like, is a little bit more of metaphorical chains because of binding the presidents to this world of suffering that Bill has done as the warden. It gives a whole new light and whole new meaning to that phrase. Important one for me is the walls and screams confined echo through the this cursed design. These are really powerful hitting because when Alcatraz was first built, it was considered to be the unescapable prison because it was situated on the rock outside San Francisco. Al Capone was there from Chicago because of tax evasion. There's a bunch of other inmates that are in there. There's a solitary confinement cell that's down in there too. It's absolutely crazy. And there's still tours that are given with using headsets. So that way then you can get the full story of Alcatraz. But in this case too, when you're listening to the music into the background, it's very soft, but it's not bad because it's reflecting the melancholy feeling and it's reflecting the depressing feeling of you're being stuck in a prison. There's no escape for you. And that's why I think Echo Through This Cursed Design also really helps, because when you hear it kind of come through with Echo, as soon as you hit the word through, the kind of this big strum comes in with the guitar, and you hear it fade out of cursed, and you just have the echo of design. And I think that's really well done because of it being like you're letting it sit for a second with the echo of this kind of, or this bar, or of this stanza in the lyrics, and it lets you kind of sit with that feeling for a second, but it's a really well done feeling. So good job on that. I really do appreciate that. So I'm gonna take this refrain down a little bit, like by a couple brackets, just because there's so much to unpack here. First off, love the kind of growl that you get from "No One Escapes Alive," um, because you're adding the intensity to it. And when you hear it too, when you hear "No One," one is actually when you hear the kick come in. The end of the E is when the snare comes in. It's really well done. And it's really well paced. I feel like when you're listening to this, it's in 4/4, and I could be wrong on that. But that's what it feels like to me, at least with my body, when I'm feeling the beat out. Um, but you hear the intensity kind of growing as you hear like "No One Escapes Alive." Even when they get into, they say "a soul must burn to light the way." When you're getting up into those high notes, definitely flipping into the soft palette is going to be helpful. And it feels like you have done it, Joshua, that you flipped into your soft palette for "a soul," and you're using and then "soul" to kind of easily transition into it. Um, and you're keeping it up there for "burn." Burn is key because burn is an interesting word when it comes to singing, because sometimes this is where we're going to get into the other side of things, but because also it has to do with the word "way" as well. That sometimes there's vowels and consonants that will create what is known as diphthongs. Diphthongs are basically kind of like a like a soul or alive. E, a diphthong, or way, um or light. The I can always be a diphthong. So I will say, when you do words like that, keep it tall. Check the roundness of the vowels and the consonants as well. So like "no one escapes alive." Va. Or they say "a soul." A soul. Because sometimes, depending on how you're singing it, yes, rock, you can get away with it a little bit more because you are spreading your mouth out wide, like ah, but still keep the space in your mouth with like where it's like "light the way." Like keep it like I like tall, bright, but don't close it onto that E sound of "way," and don't close it to the L. Keep it going a little bit. Like, try to see if there's. I always try, at least inquire. I've always tried to see if I can try to connect sometimes the word, like "they say a soul must burn to light the way." Like, yes, there's still an but it's a, or an a, but it's an sound. And the Y on "way" you can get away with a little bit easier because it's the end of the phrase. Whereas "soul" is a little bit more difficult because it's in the middle. So, but like I said, the beat is going well with it. You have it perfectly right in time. The tempo feels good for it. It doesn't feel like it's dragging. It definitely feels like you're picking up a little bit of speed here, which is great, and I appreciate it. Um, but that's all I have to say about that section. Moving on. A good high note, just make sure you're not pushing. Because sometimes pushing, like I said, can lead to bad things. This doesn't feel like it's pushing, but it's getting close. Like, you're hitting almost close into that falsetto range. And that you just need to be light and air, not breathy, but like you have enough air to support it. Um, but I like how in the word the price is steep. Steep is the highest note, which I appreciate. Um, but then you also have like your emphasis on the word sacrifice is also very good, and price is very pronounced. Interesting how leap is also as the same kind of like note as steep, but it's not a bad thing. Um, it's just interesting, just because um, it sounds like you're trying to take a leap of faith into the high notes. So, um, but I do appreciate kind of like going down on the word the cycle breaks and then you go back up, because it creates this kind of like very nice flow, like mountains and valleys, rising and falling kind of feeling, and crescendoing or decrescendoing. So it's nice to hear that. I will say, just those high notes, definitely you gotta make sure that you are strong, and it sounds like you're strong. Moving onward from the chorus. Okay. So, with this part, I appreciate that there's the difference now that it is starting to get harder. You hear the drums still in the background, the kind of like drone that you hear where it's like the da 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 da. That's awesome. Same with the beat that you hear it like come in on every with the snare and the kick coming in, awesome. It makes it feel it harder, especially when you get into like um where is it? Uh, the gates are locked, the path unclear. Um, when it starts after the word locked, when you have that beat kind of come in, and the path unclear, and then okay, of course, whispers crawls they feed on fear, referring to the zombies. But it also could, but I also think could mean the idea of eternal self, where it's like you have this internal fear that's coming up because of feeling like uh is this the right thing to do, is this the right way to go? And that's where I think the whole idea of a single step the ground will quake, and you start getting louder on the word quake, and you have it more split into like a harmonized chord, which is awesome because it brings out the emphasis of the word quake, which then later leads into the weight of worlds a soul must take, because you're reaching out and it's like crying out into the darkness. It's crying out for this world that it wants the soul to take the step. And you have that expertly done with a fade out as well for a soul must stake. After when hearing the weight of the worlds, you kind of hear that percussive blast and then it fades out where you have nothing there at the word stake, because it is the highest stakes that you need to take. So a lot of the beat percussion and all these other things and the lyrics are absolutely perfect. I appreciate it. But let's see where this goes. So, with that whole section, awesome that you can do the screams, because that is always something that is very hard to do. Vocal thrash and screaming can be hard when it's done incorrectly but it is it can hurt you when it is done incorrectly. It can benefit you when you have the right technique, and it feels like you're doing the right technique. The only thing that I will say about it is awesome with like you're keeping the same beat in the background, so it's very simple and straightforward. Yes, you still have the hard kind of like feeling of it when the drop comes in, but I wish there was a little more difference in the kind of screaming at certain points. Like I've been listening to this song a little bit just because I wanted to make sure that I get this correct. So, yes, Alone I Walk the Fire Calls, cool. Through swift through endless halls and crumbled walls. I wish you could go a little deeper on like the and crumbled walls, because then you can keep it down there for a choice remains. The thread is thin. You can start kind of going up a little bit, because then you can get into a higher state, back into your normal scream for rise above, and then even higher for or drown within, like how you did at the ending, because then it shows the impact of shocking, or like the shock that Bill Clinton did on the electric chair in your video, to let him become the warden of Alcatraz. Again, it's a key moment like that where it's like the lyrics and the style of what you're doing can reflect heavily on it. And I know, like I said, vocal thrash can be very, very difficult if it's done incorrectly. You're doing it right. Just think about the levels. Think about how you can portray it to make it feel the lyric. Basically, create the valleys and the mountains that go throughout the piece. Because if you can do that expertly in a song, awesome. Like, perfect example that I can think of is like Lamb of God, or one of my other friends. Um, he basically listens to a lot of Between the Buried and Me. He also listens to a lot of um the Architects and all these other kind of like thrash metal bands. Like, I would take a look and basically be like, "Hey, listen, what can I do that's similar to that?" Because they have depths to them. And I think that's the big important piece. Now, with this one, I will say, because you're doing it with the scream as well, it feels very much, it feels good, because it's not only just thinking about it like he's like Joe is saying it out loud, especially with this more um what's the word, astronomical or astronomical, basically like with this background that's full of space and astronomy, um that it's not only hitting him like he's saying it out loud, it's his thought in his head as well, where it's like, yeah, a soul must burn to light the way. And it's being emphasized again by the beats. But this part in particular, like I said, when you combine the thrash with the clean tone sound of your voice, it has a different feeling to it. And like I said, it's this is kind of the stuff that I really thrive for, because it shows that you can perform on both spectrums of, you can go really soft and really delicate to very hard and crunchy. And that's a really good thing to establish if you want to really get into more depth with music. And like I said, overall it sounds really good with it. So, with this last little bit before we get into the outro part of it, I'm more focusing on the parts of uh where is it? The final breath, and tether, what is it? Sin? I think it is. Oh, it's Heather snaps. The prison fades, the void unwraps, I cast my soul, I pay the toll, um free these chains that bind us whole. I appreciate that it's just the piano. Like, you get rid of the drums, you get rid of the guitar. Um just because it's supposed to be a solemn moment. And I like the photos that he uses here of both Joes, the one that turns into Dark Brandon and our premise Joe, because it's Joe reflecting in himself, that it's like, yeah, the Chronorium told me to do this. And the piano in there adds subtlety. It doesn't add, like, you're not supposed to really focus, you're supposed to focus on the feelings that you get from the lyrics. And the piano is just there because a it provides like a gateway or a access point to further understand the lyrics. Um Especially when you get to cast my soul, I pay the toll. And in this case, Joe is paying with his blood. that's a heavy toll, and it's very much like the Christian crucifixion of Jesus, that he is basically the one that is going to try to save the multiverse with his blood, and how he's going to close off this world. So that's why I think it's really well done for these lyrics and understanding that this is what it means um for that. So, like I said, lyrics well done. Oh. Oh. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Um I wish, like, if you were going to do a final scream, like just a long held out scream, do it during those 4 that you just did. But I feel like you just cut it off really short. It wants to go a second time and it wants to resolve. I feel like this ending that's here is a little unresolved. Um and it sometimes music is good when it's unresolved, but that's if you're trying to transition into another song. Uh or you're trying to purposely leave it unresolved, which if you're purposely leaving unresolved, that's fine. But like I said, if you are like saying like song done, like it's period stop, I would give it like another 2 of like coming back to this here. Hold on. But then you could like go into like either holding it out at the very end to finish it off, or you just have like something with like a chug or something that just basically tells you that it's like, okay, it's time to break, than it being a sudden abrupt end to the song. Um but like I said, so in conclusion with what I just saw from No Way Out, I think it is very well done. I myself am a rock and a metalhead where I appreciate a bunch of what it's trying to like portray and wants to bring to light. However, again, one of the key moments, like with some of the screams, with some of the diphthong, but the main thing that I really kind of wish was a little different was that ending. The ending was just so short. Like, it felt like it was such abruptness that it was like, whoa, what happened? Instead of a nice, easy transition out, or a nice, hard kind of like ending where it was like, it doesn't feel so abrupt. Like, it feels like that there is an end. It didn't feel like there was an end. It felt like it wanted to go one more time. Even with the final scream that was in there. But, like I said, this is not to criticize and like to bring you down. This is to bring out points to show you, because everybody in the music world is picky as hell. Even in choir when I was doing it, even in rock ensemble when I was doing it, everybody was nitpicky as hell. Especially with the notes, especially with the vowel sounds, especially with how it sounds. Even the microphone choice was even like, we got nitpicked a lot for it. But again, it's because we wanted to sound good. We wanted to sound professional. We wanted to sound like it's a real, like it's there. It's a good song. And like I said, you did a fantastic job. If I were to give a rating for this song with everything in its consideration, I would at least give it a solid 8 out of 10. I think you did very well with it. I think you got a lot of the lyrics were right. That's the big thing. If the lyrics don't speak to you, then it's not a good song. The lyrics spoke to me, especially because of having watched your videos. But like I said, There are just a couple of nitpicky things, and it would have been pretty much like a 9 to a 10. But props to you, Joshua Shaw, with an amazing music video, amazing music that you made, and keep on going, buddy. And like I said, his links for his channel as well as for the song will actually be linked down below in the description, so that you guys can go check him out, show him all the love and support that he deserves. Thank you guys so much for watching another Chaos Commentary video. I hope you guys did enjoy that. If you guys want to see any other kind of topics discussed, like music or movies or anything like that, please let me know down in the comments below. And definitely subscribe to join the Chaos Army. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. And remember, let the chaos reign, my friends. Peace out.